Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Wa Hashem, Yahushai, Ba Hashem, HaRakah, Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of great millstone who rule well, and shalom to the hopeful elect. This video is going to be called Great Power, Great Responsibility. And it's inspired by this video I was watching by some Akim
You haven't truly been baptized in the spirit of Yahweh,
GMS London camp.
And the scriptures also says in Romans 6,
it's inspired, by that video. Day of Atonement, Keep the Faith, GMS Universal. Yeah. Basically they made mention of that actual quote. And it stirred up my pure mind, and I thought, let me do a video on it. So I'm gonna start off. You know what, before I start off, I just want to say a couple words. So basically, we come into this faith, and you know what? Let me just get right into the lesson, because everything I want to say is pinpointed in the scriptures. All right, and I don't want to take away from it, so I'm gonna jump right into it. So this is Luke 12 and 48, and it reads, "But he that knew not and did commit things worthy of stripes shall be beaten with few stripes." Right? So if you read, this is basically talking about the Lord, the faithful steward, basically the Lord leaving of the house, and there was, the faithful steward who waited upon the arrival of his Lord. You can read it, but that's not really the point I want to dwell upon, okay? So it says, "But he that knew not and did commit things worthy of stripes shall be beaten with few stripes. For unto whomsoever much is given." Now this is the point. And the brother was mentioning this, that it's in the scriptures, in the word. And that's really what kind of spurred me to do the video. Alright? Because it made me think, yeah, that's a good, it's a good saying. A good proverb that the Lord said, basically. "For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required. And to whom men have committed much, of him they will ask the more." Alright? So basically, much is given, much is required, to really summarize what's being said. But I'll read it as the Lord, as it reads. "For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required. And to whom men have committed much, to him they will ask the more." Alright? Now, that's such a powerful scripture, and I want to go straight into my example, but I want to knock out a couple points, alright? Because this was actually brought up in the video, and I just looked it up, just out of curiosity, and I found out some interesting points, the history of it. So with great power comes great responsibility. This from Wikipedia, and I'm just going to jump in straight into the history section. So it reads, it says, "The origins of the phrase predate its use in Spider-Man, though its exact origins are unknown. In a plan de travail, de surveillance, et du correspondance, proposed par les committee de salut public au représentants du people du peace près des ames de la Republic of French National Convention in 1793. There is this sentence, ils devant et visage." This is me attempting French, so don't take it. I don't speak French or nothing. "Qu'une grande responsabilité est la suite est séparable d'un grand pouvoir." The representatives must contemplate that a great responsibility is an inseparable result of a great power. Okay? In 1817, British Member of Parliament William Lamb, so that's where it goes back to the 17th century, 1793, that saying. But then also it says, in 1817, British Member of Parliament William Lamb is recorded saying, the possession of great power necessarily implies great responsibility. In 1906, under Secretary of Colonial Office Winston Churchill said, where there is great power, there is great responsibility, even indicating that it was already a cultural maxim invoked toward the government at the time. So basically that's a bit of the history, but just dwelling on that, it even shows within this world, man. Say for example, take someone like an athlete. The athlete are used because even though their sphere of influence is as great as a politician, the accountability for an athlete, especially a Jake, is greater. All right, just someone like Kobe Bryant, Mike Tyson, Michael Jackson, even. Okay, they have a great power in the sense of their talent. They have an ability, all right, a skill, but then in the use of that skill, they have a great responsibility at the same time, because there's people that want to capitalize on that said talent, all right, or that said ability, and make their own gain from it through guile. Okay, so that's why you have those in the sphere of celebrities. Sorry, they usually have to shy away from the public. They have to make their private life. That's why they have what as a private life, right? They have to remove that away from the public eye, because they have a great power, and it takes great responsibility, because people are trying to capitalize off of those that talent that they have, and use it as leverage, all right, for their own gain. All right, I watched the Jeffrey Epstein documentary on Netflix, and they said that his whole thing was about leverage. He had cameras in his mansion in Manhattan, that 77 million, something like that, mansion in Manhattan, all right. And basically, he was saying that it had cameras all over the place, and there was all kind of celebrities that went in there. And his whole thing was footage. He had leverage on them in some sort of way. So that's that great power, great responsibility. When you have a great power, there's a responsibility you have to garner with that power. Okay, least you be held accountable. Utilizing it in the wrong manner. All right. Say for example, you have a guy that can mess with a lot of women. All right, a handsome looking dude. He shouldn't be messing with any kind of woman. Why is that? And this is I'm just taking it, from a logical approach, sizing things up in that kind of sphere, that type of way. If he has a lot of pull, and women, especially in this day and age, man, this generation, they like to deal with a lot of clout chasing, or they like to manipulate things to their own advantage. Why do you think Tupac went to jail? Why do you think Mike Tyson went to jail? Why do you think all these different celebrities, they bring out stories about, he raped me and he this and he that, all right? So that shows you they have a power and a responsibility. But those are light examples. I'm gonna delve into greater examples, but that just was something I wanted to bring out. So I'm gonna read on. It says, in Spider-Man stories, the thematic and often quoted, including by the Supreme Court of the United States. Wow, they even quote it. The Spider-Man phrase, with great power comes great responsibility, is widely attributed to Uncle Ben, right? Uncle's son. However, in Amazing Fantasy 15, where it first appears, it is not spoken by any character. In fact, Ben has only 2 lines in the entire comic. The original version of the phrase appears in a narrative caption of the comic's last panel. Rather than as spoken dialogue, it reads, with great power, there must also come great responsibility. All right. However, later stories and flashbacks that took place when Ben was still alive retroactively made the phrase one of Ben's main homilies. I don't know what that means, so I'm curious. Let me just look it up quick. Aye. Look it up real quick. Alright, so a homily is a commentary that follows a reading of scripture. It is more importantly morally. Let me just search the web and get a synopsis real quick. A religious discourse which is intended primarily for spiritual edification rather than doctrinal instruction. Okay, so you could say advice in some sort of way. All right, so yeah, right here. So it reads. All right, so that's basically latter-day reinterpretations of Spider-Man, which is Spider-Man film and Ultimate Spider-Man comic, depict Ben as saying a phrase in Peter to Peter in the last conversation. And I used to collect that Ultimate Spider-Man. I remember way back, man. I remember when it first come out in the early 2000s or so, late 90s or whenever it was. But so Spider-Man, that's a great saying because basically he had a great power. They show you in the movie that basically he let the guy go, and ultimately he was a judge, okay, because he had a great power that he sits at the for lack of he sits in the judgment seat basically of dealing, working out who belongs where. All right, you're a criminal. You need to be in the so-called justice system. This person needs to die because of this action. But that's because he had the power. The power is in his hands to do so. All right. So the fact that the power is in his hands to do so, he then shouldn't abuse that said power. He has to utilize it and hone it correctly. Okay. So, and this is this reigns true also because the Lord placed that great responsibility also in the hands of Jonah, and Jonah done a runner. All right, what did Jonah said? Look, man, the Lord said, "Yo, I want you to go down to Nineveh and speak against him," and said, "Tell them they're gonna be judged." And Jonah just said, "I'm going to Tarshish, man. I'm going to Spain," and basically did a runner. But guess what? The Lord, made it as to where he had to, because he had a great power, he required great responsibility, and he tried to run away from it, but the responsibility catched up when he was on that boat, and then he had to deal with the consequences, all right, before actually dealing with the task at hand. But I want to give this example now. So this is Matthew's 25 and 15 down to 19. And it reads, "And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2." Start from 14, sorry. "For the kingdom of heaven is as a man travelling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods." Right? And we know this is the Lord, right? Yahweh Shai. That's why before he left, he basically, the disciples who had been under his discipline, he spoke unto them and made them apostles, and basically told them to go forth and preach, basically, right? And his goods was the word, right, which is a treasure, as it tells you in Romans 11. So verse 15, it reads, "And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability." All right, and straightway took his journey. All right. So I'm gonna read down to verse 17 and break it down a piece. "Then he that received 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. Likewise, he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. So basically, the way you gotta look at it is like, let's take it to a modern theme. say you have an and you want to make you have a certain amount of money, and you make an investment into a product, and then you buying that product, you've put all your money in. Say let's say them five talents. Let's say that's 50 grand. That I'm not saying that's the equivalent. But let's say that's 50 grand, dollars, pounds, whatever have you. All right. So basically, what you now do with that 50 grand is you've invested in a product, and you take out that product, you do the markup, the necessary markup for you, taking into account all things that you need, in order to make profit off that item, and you sell it, right? You keep selling it and selling it and selling it. You basically use that 50, and then through that 50 you make the profit of 5 grand, for example, and you keep doing the same process and making more and more until you make the 50 that you had is matched by 50 in profit, okay? And the same, say the man that had 2, he had 20 grand, and he did the same process, and it came back until he matched it. He worked it until he matched it. Now it's the same in the faith, all right? The Lord is when it speaks of talents, all right? The word talent, as it's used in modern usage today, when you go into the etymology, it really goes back to this this parable, okay? Because talents was a measure of money, but talents, being known as it's known today, comes from the actual Bible, okay? Which is an ability, a skill, okay? So if someone's talented at writing, all right, has a God-given talent to draw or something like that, he utilizes that talent, and he makes money from it, all right? Because that's his God-given talent, all right? So it's the same with the gift of faith, all right? Because we've been given a gift of faith, and that gift that we're given, we utilize it. So some men will know about prophecy, some men will have charity, will have various different abilities, oration, whatever, scriptures, just a great memory to, and be able to articulate scriptures and bring things into perspective, cut people or rebuttal things and all that kind of stuff. A myriad of talents that you have, all right? Say the guy has 5, he can do 5 different things in regard to talents with the scriptures. Say the guy that has 2 can do 2 different things, all right? And they're going to obviously, according to their server ability, that's what they'll dispense. So according to that, they should make good on it, all right? Because that's why you were given that, okay? We're now reading on, verse 18. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh, and mind you, he digged and he didn't even attempt, man. He didn't even try. Hey, you can't score if you don't shoot, okay? And he didn't shoot. After a long time, the Lord, that's like the men that heard this word and the studying. They know everything they need to know, but guess what? They don't pull the trigger and go outside, or they don't do videos, or they, if they don't if they don't go outside, they don't even try and do videos. They don't try and attempt nothing, all right? What some may call a growth mindset, in the sense of like that person will just make an attempt, all right? So anyway, reading on. Sorry, man. Reading on. Behold, I have gained. Sorry, it's a verse. Okay, verse 19. After a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoneth with them. And so he that received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few, faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler and over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Alright, verse 24. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee, that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, man, I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting angry, man. Yo, you got a skill. I, you gotta try it, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. That's the type of person I am, man. I can't. It's like anything in life, man. It'll be from like. I've gone for jobs that I know full well I'm probably not meant to be there, man. But I'm gonna go do it because I need to, daily bread. I got going at women same way, man. Listen, if something within my spirit is, and I'm not saying it's like I'm some super duper fragilistic type womanizer or smooth operator. I'm just saying that it's something innate within me all across the board that you gotta try, man. You gotta attempt at least, man. Just try, all right. If you fail miserably, if you embarrass yourself, F it, man. It is what it is. You tried. You made an attempt. There's glory in that, right? That's why it says in the word, a righteous man slippeth 7 times but getteth up. Because basically, you got to if you make the attempt, usually what you do is fight or flight, man. A lot of the things I've learned in this lifetime was through error, okay? And that's why the word humility, something I always like to mention, man. Humility goes back to the word humiliation, right? Because usually what humbles you, right, is humiliation. All right, if you get humiliated, if you bust your ass or something, you do something, you make a misstep, guess what? That's gonna humiliate you. But if you got a real, if you got a gritty kind of spirit, you're gonna dust yourself off and go and try again, basically, right? And keep going, right? There shouldn't be no reason why you don't. But this man didn't even make an attempt. He just knew the Lord's demeanor and said, man, I'll just give him back his money. I don't want to even lose it. Man, I will try. You gave me that. I'm going to do what I need to do, man. And guess what? I've been doing it for like 10 years. And it's doing me well, man. Lord willing, big time, man. Because I know what I've learned all this decade, more or less, that I've been in this word. Is priceless, man. Because I've seen what I left, and I've seen where it is. If anything, the people that I left in the world have degenerated, all right? Whereas I've grown abundantly through the word and strength and power of Yahweh Shem El Shai. Anyway, man, I'm making this a very long-winded video, and it's meant to be very quick to the point. But as you can see, this is why I was stirred up in the spirit, because this is something I really, this is something that really touches my spirit, man. But okay. Verse 25, and I was afraid and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knowest that I reap where I sow not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received my own with usury. Alright? So he's saying, look, man, even if you were scared, you could have just gave it could have basically threw, let's say you got money and you get a big inheritance. Say you got like that's 10 grand. For all that time the Lord had gone, he could have just gave it to the bankers, and they could have put it in a bank, and he would have gained interest and got the money back. And that's the same with like 1 talent. You keep going into basics kind of thing, real elementary kind of the primary scriptures. You ain't going off. Someone can always learn. Man, I'll just speak it to... I'm not even going to go into that, man. But I'll speak, let me just stay on point, because I'm going to keep on let me just establish these points. So reading on, it says, verse 28, Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which have 10 talents. For unto everyone that have shall For unto everyone that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that have not shall be taken away even that which he hath. Alright? So basically, make good on your investment, man, or the Lord will take it away from you. And I'm going to end on this scripture here. This is Romans 12. And I'm going to start from verse 3 to 5. And it reads, For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think. Alright? So put things into perspective. As I read in the parable before, some men have 5, some men have 3, some men have 1. How much have you got, man? And this is part of being in the faith. You got to understand what your strengths are and work to them, man. And utilize it, execute it. Be assertive with what you have, aggressive. Utilize it to the best of your ability. But to think soberly, according as Yahweh have dealt to every man the measure of faith. What's a talent? It's a measurement, right? If you look it up, it's an ancient measurement of weight in gold, silver, wherever you may have you, right? But basically, you meant to deal in accordance to your talent. All right. Verse 4, for as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office, so we being many are one body in Yahweh Shai, and everyone members one of another. So with that, man, I pray you're edified. Stay shalom.